Marcus was 31 years old, earning $78,000 a year, and he had tried every budgeting system he could find. The spreadsheets, the apps, the envelope method his grandmother swore by. The 50-30-20 rule he found in 3 separate articles on the same Sunday afternoon. Every single one lasted about 2 weeks. Not because Marcus was irresponsible. Not because he didn't care about money. But because every system he tried was built on an assumption about human behavior that turned out to be completely wrong. On the night we're talking about, Marcus closed his budgeting app for the last time, pushed his laptop across the desk, and said something most people only think, "Maybe I'm just not the kind of person who can do this." He was wrong. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why, and what actually works instead. Before we go further, I want to be upfront about what this video is and what it isn't. This is not another video telling you to cut your morning coffee. It is not a lecture about why you should be saving more. And it is not a one-size-fits-all system that assumes everyone's life looks the same. What this video is an honest explanation of why budgeting fails for most people, backed by research. And then a practical 4-layer framework that works precisely because it is built around real human behavior, not the version of yourself you wish you were. By the end of this video, you will have a system, not a theory. A system you can actually start this week. Let's start with the data. Here is what the research actually shows about budgeting. A study published in the Journal of Marketing Research found that detailed budgets, the kind most apps encourage, actually increase spending in some categories because they make people feel they have permission to spend up to the limit they set. A separate study by the National Endowment for Financial Education found that nearly 70% of people who create a budget abandon it within 90 days. Not 10%, not 30%, 70%. And a 2024 report by Bankrate found that 57% of Americans are unable to cover a $1,000 emergency expense from savings alone, despite the fact that budgeting advice has never been more available, more accessible, or more free. We are not failing at budgeting because we lack access to information. We are failing because the standard approach to budgeting is fundamentally misaligned with how human beings actually make decisions. And that brings us to the diagnosis. Reason 1. Budgets are built on willpower, and willpower is finite. When Marcus downloaded his first budgeting app, the very first thing it asked him to do was set spending limits for 14 different categories. Groceries, dining out, entertainment, transport, clothing, subscriptions, personal care. And every month, the app would send him notifications reminding him he was over in 3 of them. The problem is not that Marcus lacked discipline. The problem is that every time he had to make a conscious spending decision, should I buy this, is this in budget, which category does this come from, he was drawing from a finite cognitive resource. Psychologists call this decision fatigue. The more decisions you make in a day, the worse your judgment becomes by evening. And traditional budgeting turns every single purchase into a decision. A system that requires constant willpower will always eventually fail. Because willpower is not a personality trait. It is a resource that depletes. Reason 2. Budgets track the past instead of designing the future. The second reason most budgets fail is more subtle but equally damaging. Most budgeting systems are reactive. You spend money, then you log it, then you look at where it went, then you feel guilty, then you try harder next month. This is not a financial system. This is a guilt cycle with a spreadsheet attached. Real financial progress is not about tracking where your money went. It is about designing where your money goes before you ever have the chance to make a bad decision. The difference between tracking and designing is the difference between a diary and a blueprint. One records your history, the other builds your future. Reason 3. Budgets ignore the emotional reality of spending. The third reason is the one nobody in personal finance wants to say out loud. We do not make financial decisions with spreadsheets. We make them with emotions, context, stress, social pressure, and the state of mind we happen to be in at 7 p.m. on a Thursday when we've had a bad week. Marcus's budget said he had $200 for dining out this month. On week 3, after a genuinely terrible week at work, he spent $80 on one dinner. The budget called that a failure. But it was actually a completely human response to a stressful situation. Any financial system that does not account for the emotional reality of being a person will break the moment life gets hard. And life always gets hard. So what does a system look like that actually accounts for all of this? The system I'm going to walk you through has 4 layers. Each one is designed to remove a specific failure point from traditional budgeting. You do not need all 4 to start. But the more layers you build, the more the system runs itself. Layer 1, the non-negotiables account. The first thing you do is calculate your true monthly non-negotiables. Not what you think they are, what they actually are. Rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, minimum debt payments, groceries at a realistic number, transportation to work. Add those up. That number is your survival floor. Call it your non-negotiables total. Open a separate bank account. Most banks offer this for free, and on payday, transfer exactly that amount into it automatically. Every bill that falls into this category gets paid from this account only. You have now automated the most important financial decisions of your month. They no longer require willpower because they no longer require a decision. Layer 2. The savings transfer before lifestyle, not after. The single biggest mistake in standard budgeting is this. Save what is left over at the end of the month. There is almost never anything left over, because spending expands to fill available money. The fix is simple but non-negotiable. On payday, immediately after your non-negotiables transfer, a second automatic transfer goes to your savings account. The amount is not the point yet. The behavior is, start with whatever you can, even $50 a month. The transfer happens automatically before your lifestyle account ever sees the money. You cannot spend money that is not in front of you. That is not a motivational statement. It is a design principle. Layer 3. The lifestyle account, your guilt-free zone. What is left after your non-negotiables and savings transfer is your lifestyle money. All of it. No categories. No subcategories. No logging. No app notifications telling you that you spent too much on coffee. You spend it however you want. Dinner out. New shoes. A weekend away. Whatever genuinely matters to you this month. When it is gone, it is gone. That is the only rule. This is not irresponsible. This is the opposite of irresponsible. Because your survival is already covered. Your savings is already building. Everything else is genuinely yours to use without guilt. A budget you can actually live inside is infinitely more powerful than a perfect budget you abandon every February. Layer 4. The buffer. Your system's shock absorber. The 4th layer is the one that prevents the entire system from collapsing the first time something unexpected happens. Car repair, a medical bill, a flight home for a family emergency. Without a buffer, any one of those events wipes out the lifestyle account, bleeds into savings, and leaves you feeling like you are back at zero. The goal of the buffer is not to have 3 months of expenses saved immediately. The goal is to build it slowly alongside everything else. A small additional automatic transfer each month into a dedicated buffer account that you do not touch unless something genuinely unexpected happens. Over 6 months, that buffer becomes your financial immune system. It absorbs the shocks that used to break every previous system you tried. And once your system can absorb shocks, it stops feeling fragile. And once it stops feeling fragile, you stop abandoning it. 6 months after Marcus pushed his laptop across that desk, he had not downloaded a new budgeting app. He had set up 2 additional bank accounts. He had automated 3 transfers on payday. And he had stopped thinking about money every single day. Not because his problems disappeared. His income was the same. His rent had actually gone up. But his system ran in the background. His non-negotiables were covered. His savings were growing slowly, quietly, automatically. And his lifestyle account gave him permission to live without guilt inside it. He did not become a different person. He built a different system. And that is the only thing that was ever missing. If this video gave you something you have been looking for, not just information, but a framework that actually accounts for the way real people live, then subscribe. Every week on Zero to Zenith Finance, we take the financial situations most people are living through and break them down into something you can actually use. And if you want to go deeper on the specific numbers, how much to put in savings, how to size your buffer, what to do if your non-negotiables leave almost nothing left, That video is right here. See you in the next one.